Thanks for watching this interview with Troy Kemp. My name is Sophie. I do all the interviews here at Sunburnt Country Music. If you happen to like these interviews, it'd be great if you could subscribe to this channel. It helps the artists find new audience, which is my whole goal here. And you could also hit the thumbs up if you like the video. Thanks. Troy Kemp has multiple Australian country chart and CMC #1 singles, a golden guitar, 3 CMC awards, and 3 People's Choice Awards. He has released music solo, with his most recent single being On One Hand. He's a great duet singer with artists such as Jane Denham, and he is well known as one half of McAlister Kemp, and he's here to talk about some news. We'll get to that. I have other questions first. Hello, Troy.
Hey Sophie, how you doing? It's great to see you.
It's great to see you too. All the
It's
way
a,
over in Nashville, which is where you live now. So you moved there during the pandemic. What prompted that move?
Firstly, I just want to say thank you for that wonderful welcome and intro. That was pretty amazing. You remembered things about me I forgot, so thank you. I'm sitting there going, is that me? Is she talking about me? That's funny. Nashville is somewhere that I've been visiting, ever since 2007. I started coming here and recording my own music. This was even prior to McAlister Kemp, and I recorded with an Australian expat producer over here named Mark Moffat, who has just recently passed away. May he rest in peace. He was a lovely man, and I did my first ever recordings with Mark in Nashville, and I fell in love with Nashville. And this is Nashville 2007. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was a totally different town back then. It was a lot quieter, and there wasn't half as many buildings as there is here now and stuff like that. So I tried to get back to Nashville as much as I could in the years following. And, when McAlister Kemp got together, we came here a lot to write songs and record music and stuff like that. So I always had the love of the place. And I'd always, in my head, I wanted to make a move here one day and have a shot at country music. I just think that's the level you need to get to if you want to have that big career. You know what I mean? You have to be in Nashville to have a crack. So, after 6 or 7 years of McAlister Kemp, we sort of decided to have a little break and go our separate ways and do some solo stuff again. I just turned my attention to getting a green card and throwing money at doing that. And it took me 2.5 years to get my green card and cost about $15,000. It was a lot, and then to go through all the background checks on your health and your work history and your criminal history and all the stuff that they go through, to sort of clear you and make you to say that you're worthy to be a resident in America. It's a lot. So we do 2.5 years of that. We're throwing lots of money at it. We finally get approved to move here in March 2020, and bam, the world shuts down with COVID.
Right.
And at that point we were like, gee, we've come this far, and like I said, we'd spent so much time and money, and when our approval came on the 3rd of March in 2020. So and they gave us 3 months to get out of the country. Then the world shuts down about 3 weeks later. And about a month and a half later, my immigration lawyer was ringing me saying, dude, you need to get out of the country. You've got 3 months, and I don't know what's going to happen if you don't. So we had to apply to the government. After a few big applications, they let us leave during a pandemic. And we got on an empty 747, just the two of us, and flew 31 hours in a face mask from Sydney to San Fran to Houston, Houston to Nashville. And we get to Nashville Airport 11 o'clock at night. It's pitch black. We're the only 2 people walking through the corridors trying to find the baggage claim. And that was the way we moved country, and it's been 5 years since then, and from very humble beginnings. In the first year of not being able to work, we're sort of finally now settled. We're both, I'm working a lot with music. She's in a great hairdressing salon and doing great. And we love the town. We've got lots of good friends, and we managed to buy a house a couple of years ago. I got myself an F-150 truck, so I'm pretty excited about that. And things are good, so it's from humble beginnings. I'm really proud of how far we've come, and just love being here.
It's such a big thing to do, even without a pandemic to travel through. That must have been so weird and eerie, actually, that whole travel experience of going out on an empty
Oh,
plane and an empty airport and possibly thinking, what are we doing? But
yeah.
I also didn't realize that when you get a green card, you have a limited amount of time to use it.
Yeah, the green card is 10 years. And everyone says to me all the time, oh, how did you win the green card lottery? It's like, I didn't win the lottery. I went through 2.5 years of background checks and spent a lot of money for it. And it was only off the back of McAlister Kemp success that I was, with the awards and stuff that you mentioned, that was what I used as my application strength. That's what got me across the line to go for a green card. As an extraordinary alien, that's my status.
Yeah.
So that's which is really
It's
weird.
such a great term, isn't it? An extraordinary, yeah.
Yeah. But it only lasts for 10 years. But the cool part is after 5 years, you're allowed to go for your citizenship. So we're currently at that 5 year mark, and now we're studying 100 questions about America. And we're
Right.
going to go for an interview, and they ask you 10 of those 100 questions, any random from the 100, and you have to
Right.
get six correct to get your citizenship. And once we get the citizenship, we'll get an American passport and have dual citizenship, which
Right.
means we can live in either country for the rest of our days, So it's
Yeah.
probably a cool thing to do. So pretty excited. We're really happy here, and as much as I love, I love to get home and do as much as I can, back home when I can and see everyone, friends and family, and do some shows. But we feel pretty settled here, and it would be just as much of a mission to have to move from here back to Australia now. You know what I mean? And I don't know if
Yeah.
I've got that in me again.
Yeah. Fair
So
enough.
we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had my first visit to Nashville last year for Americana Fest in September, and I just from the first like hour I was there, I just like I love this town so much.
Yeah.
But I was talking to a lot of people who had either grown up there or had lived there for a while, who said it has become quite busy in the past few years, and certainly I've found it. Well, actually, it was smaller than I was expecting, but there were certainly some busier times than I was expecting. So it does feel like a really exciting place to be.
Yes, lots of energy here, so much energy in Nashville, you know what I mean? And they say about 2,000 people move here a week, from all around
Oh,
America. And so many Australians are moving here right now too. It's pretty cool. So, but like I said, what I've seen in the last, 20 years, the growth in this town is insane. Like it used to be all just low buildings. It was pretty quiet. Downtown Broadway was pretty quiet. You could get into any bar anytime. Drinks were $1. These days it's like it's a big built up city. It looks like New York. You know what I mean? Not New York. It looks more probably like like a small Los Angeles. You know what I mean? It's all neon lights and bright lights and buzzing, and it's loud. There's just bars all the way down Broadway that are like 4 and 5 levels high with bands on every level in every bar all the way down the street. So you could go and watch 200 bands at any given time down on Broadway. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
there's so many high-rise apartments going up that people live in. I live in one right here. You know what I mean? And it's an amazing town, but it's getting so commercialized and so busy that
Mm.
sometimes it's nice just to get out and drive to Florida for a week, just to have a week on the beach and just get away from it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
funny. It's kind of funny that it's gotten to that for me, because I just, like yourself, like I just fell in love with the place. And all that to say, I still do love the place, and I still literally wake up every day and just pinch myself and say, "What, I live in Nashville?" I still do, like 5 years later. So I feel that's pretty cool.
I do
Yeah.
feel like there are so many Australians there now that someone has to start an Australian club if there isn't one already, because it's just I'm losing track of who's moving there. Melanie Dyer, I think, is the latest one I know of. I just think there must be some
Yeah.
spot where you're all congregating.
Yeah, we all hang out a lot, and it's really nice to have the Aussie contingent here. Everyone's good friends, and they all support each other. I'm always reaching out to these guys and saying, particularly when they first move here, if you need any help with anything, just reach out. And if we can help you, we will. Because when we moved here, we're in the same boat. We were asking other Aussies, prior to us, like, how do we do this? How do we get our driver's license? How do we do tax? How do we do a bank account? How do I get a social security number? Like, there's so many things you need to figure out. You know what I mean? It's quite. They need like a Do America for Dummies book. You know what I mean? Like America. So, but it's cool. Like you said, there's probably like there's got to be 40 or 50 of us over here now. All these Aussies that we could. It's pretty cool. We should open an Aussie bar.
Yeah, absolutely.
Call it up. Yeah,
I'll charge you with that responsibility, Troy. Now,
yeah.
creatively for you, what has it meant? So maybe take us through like what's a day in a life for you as a working musician in Nashville now.
I love that question. That's cool. I'm currently doing, and it's so different to back in Australia. Like if I was back home and touring with McAlister Kemp, we're on the road 3 days a week. He's generally like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You might do 2 or 3 shows over a weekend. Same if you're just at home and you're playing local bar shows, in the pubs, just playing cover songs, you know what I mean, whatever it is, which I still did as well. Over here, it's like, everyone's fighting for a spot to get into any establishment just to play for a start.
Mm.
And the powers that be know that, all the people who run these bars, they don't pay very much. So everyone's fighting for spots to play down on Broadway.
Right.
And these shows are like 3 or 4 hours straight with no breaks, which I wasn't used to. I was used to having 2 or 3 breaks during a show and only playing for 3 hours, and didn't realize how easy I had it. So
Yeah.
over here, it's like, it's 3 or 4 hours. You're on stage playing solo, duo, trio, or band. Everybody gets paid $125 for the day, and the rest of it's tips. The bar will pay you $125. and then it's tips. But if you make $120 in tips, you're splitting that between 3 or 4 guys to
Yeah.
add to your 125. So you essentially need to do a lot of shows per week to make a decent wage. So I've been doing, up until the last couple of weeks, 5 and 6 shows a week, which I've never done in my life, and it's been really tough on my vocals just to sort of keep the throat in check.
Right.
And I'm also writing probably four to five songs a week every day. When I step off stage, I'm usually going from a show straight to a songwriting session, or a songwriting session to a gig, and I'm writing that many songs a week. So I'd say in the time I've lived here, I think I've literally written, like, I think my folder's at about 450 or 500 songs at the
Right.
moment. Yeah,
Okay.
and it's a lot. And you're also trying to sort of get yourself on these songwriter shows where you're on stage with 3 or 4 other songwriters. You're all playing songs. You play your song, the next guy plays his song, the next guy. Then it comes back to you, and you do another one, and you might get to go around like 3 or 4 times. Then you four walk off, and the next 4 guys come on, and they do their 4 or 5 songs. So it's a real lot, and there's so much competition here, and there's so much talent here. So you can't expect us to get off the plane to be the next Keith Urban. You got to earn it. And even
Yeah.
5 years in, at 5 years in, I'm still that guy that's down there trying to get gigs on Broadway and playing shows and trying to get better paid shows, doing songwriter rounds, and they say it's a 10-year town, so before you even get anywhere. So I feel like I'm only halfway through the chase, and the hopefully any
Yeah.
success that I might have here. But it's funny because the more I do it, the older I get. I'm kind of just fallen in love with the songwriting aspect of country music, and I think my focus has changed. I came here sort of thinking the artist thing, but
Mhm.
I'm sort of, the more I'm here writing, I've just fallen in love with songwriting, and being able to just be at home at night with my wife, and just chilling, and enjoying that. So if someone gave me a record deal tomorrow and said, okay, we want you out on the road for the next 12 months, I'd be like, oh, I don't know if I want that. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
kind of weird. So, so we'll see how it goes, but that's what it looks like. It's all songwriting. It's so many shows per week. And I
Yeah.
try to take Sunday and Monday off with my wife just to chill out, catch up with friends. And then, generally Tuesday through to Saturday, that's full on again. So it just never stops. It's insane. And the beauty is you can do that in Nashville every single day,
Right.
because it runs 24/7, you know what I mean? All day, every
Yeah.
day. So it's, like I said, you need a lot of energy, because the whole town is a lot of energy, you know.
Yeah. But also, this was not the easy path for you because you had a well-established career in Australia, and to move to another country and actually do what you're doing. I mean, I can hear how invigorated you are by it, but a lot of people would have been very happy with the career in Australia and just thought, I'm just going to tuck in here in my little patch. So yeah, I think it's fantastic to do that because it no
Yeah.
gives you that impetus, as you said, and you're also discovering things about yourself, like the songwriting is something that you love.
That's right. And it's funny because now a lot of Aussies come over to write with people, and they write with Phil Barton and all the different songwriters around Nashville. But people are now calling me and saying, hey, Troy, can we write a song? So I'm getting a lot of co-writes, not only from people in this town, but from Aussies that come over too. So I feel like I'm starting to earn a bit of a reputation as a songwriter, which is good, because I'm working hard to do that, you know what I mean? And I really hope
Yeah.
that one day, I'm always excited to see any Australian artists record songs that I've written with them when they've come over, and I hope one day that I get to hear Keith Urban, or Luke Bryan or Luke Combs or Cody Johnson sing one of my songs. That's become a big dream for me. So
Right.
I'll keep swinging until something happens, and
Yeah.
and if I don't, if it never happens, I just, at least I can say, at least I can say I tried. You know what I mean? And I didn't die wondering. You know what I mean? So that's kind of
Absolutely.
that's my headset, and it's always been the way I think. I just didn't want to die wondering. So as much as I miss the success and all the stuff that was Australian country music, and to come here and be a nobody in a big pond and start all over again has its days for me. You know what I mean? I'm like, I could just go home and maybe I could pick up where I left off, but I also love a challenge, so I'm here trying, and fingers crossed something happens one day.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, you're about to cement your connection to Nashville even further because you're going to have a Nashville baby. At the time we are speaking, this baby is due very soon.
Yeah, this baby's due mid-July, and it's mine and Alicia's first baby, and we're so excited, and it's pretty bizarre to think that we're going to have an American-born baby who will be an American resident, a citizen, and
Yeah.
and if we go back to Australia, she'll have to have we'll have to get her an Australian passport, or a passport. Oh well, she'll come over there on an American passport, I guess, as a visitor,
Yeah.
and if we ever move home, we'll have to get her an Australian passport. It's so weird, she'll grow up with an accent. with an American accent, which would be weird. So
Yeah.
it's, but we've got a little girl on the way. Like I said, we're about 3 weeks out, and it's something that Alicia's been wanting for a long time, and she's going to be an amazing mum because she's just so maternal and she's amazing with kids. I love kids, and she was, she was kind of wanting this from when we first got here. I said, let's just settle in, get to enjoy Nashville for a couple of years, get ourselves set up, and when it feels like we've done all the things you want to do and get to that place, then we'll look at it. So we did it all. We got to the place where we're comfortable and we're cruising. So we gave it a shot, and we got lucky, and God willing, and we're now about to have a baby girl, and it's crazy. We've got strollers and bassinets and car seats and all this stuff turning up in the apartment. We're starting to bust at the seams, and we're now looking at a house to try and find a house to move into that just where we've got a bit more space. So we've just found one, and we're moving in October. So that's exciting. Yeah.
I
So
have a feeling this baby will be spoiled rotten and may have a
oh,
small guitar put into her hands at a certain point.
you know it. I tell you, I've been playing guitar to her at night. I've been singing to Alicia's belly, doing all the cheesy stuff that a muso would, you know what I mean? But she's had a lot of music. She's been exposed to a lot of music already. So hopefully she'll come out and I'm never going to push my child to do anything. But if she comes out and she wants to play guitar one of these days, it'll be pretty crazy and cool. I think that'd be so fun to have a little girl to play guitar with. So yeah, it's good. She might end up being a hairdresser like her mama. Who knows? We'll see what we get.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And it will be
I
interesting.
didn't. Let's just hope she looks like a mama. That's what we're hoping. Yeah.
Well, now the big question is, will baby girl be coming with you when you return to Australia in January? Because you have some news about what's going to happen in January.
Yes, I can say straight away that baby girl will be coming with us back, in January, because we're going to have parents back there and family that are going to be busting to see it by then. You know what I mean? So, and at that point, she'll be about 5 months old. So, I'm a little nervous because we're going to be that couple on the plane that has the crying baby that everybody just can't, can't handle. So I'm hoping that she's calm and on the long journey. But yes, I have news. January. It's a McAlister Kemp news. We've been, teasing a little bit on social media, but I can officially say to you, Sophie, that we're doing Tamworth. We're doing Tamworth.
Fabulous.
It's going to be great fun. We're really excited to say we're doing Tamworth. We're going to be at West Leagues Club, Blazers Showroom, Thursday, the 22nd of January, 8 p.m. till 11 p.m. And it's an all ages show, which is going to be so cool. So, yeah, I think the tickets are going to go on sale, I think the 7th of July. And yeah, we're really excited. I mean, I love getting on stage with Drew and just doing what we do, getting back up there and playing all the old McAlister Kemp songs and some of the new ones off the latest record that we did, the We Roll On record. We play a few of those songs as well. So we love Tamworth. We've always loved Blazers Showroom. We've done lots of shows there over the years. Mind you, they were midnight shows, usually with Adam Brand. So
Right, I remember. Yes, yeah.
yeah. So, and it was always hard because the kids could never really get into those shows. It was too late for a lot of people. So when there wasn't many spots left when we decided to give this thing a shot. So we were really lucky to get, the Thursday night at West at Blazers. So we're really grateful to West Leagues for giving us a shot. And the fact that we can have an all ages show, I think is going to be cool. At 8 o'clock, I think that's going to be really good. But we're going to have the full band, all the songs. Probably 2 hours of just rocking out. And hopefully we'll get a stack of people along to party with us and make it one of the biggest shows that Tamworth has next year. You know what I mean? So everybody, get your tickets and let's do this. Come on. Yeah,
I'm sure it will be an amazing show, actually. But you say all the songs. You have 4 albums worth of songs, so I'm wondering whether you're actually going to write them on little pieces of paper, put them in a hat, and draw them out to decide your set list.
Yeah, probably. I mean, smart move for us, Sophie, is just to go straight to the greatest hits record and just say, let's just play that. That's so it's generally something like that, with some of the new songs off the new album thrown in because that happened after the greatest hits. It's been such a weird journey with the McAlister Kemp thing, the way that's stopped and started over the years. But yeah, it's really exciting. But yeah, we're really lucky. I mean, for all those years that we were together, I'm really proud of the songs that we put out. We wrote a lot of songs that were just, I felt really connected with people, and when you got songs like All Kinds of Tough and Hell Yeah and Blue Collar Night and Fight Me and all those songs, they're just songs that I'm so proud of, and songs to say that, proud to say that I've written with Drew and songs. I mean, I always say I want to write songs that I can hang my hat on, you know what I mean? And they're songs that I feel like I can hang my hat on, and hopefully will have a legacy, long after I'm gone. And it's really cool because these days, I mean, when we get back together, if we ever do shows back in Australia, it's like there's this new generation of young country fans coming through who might be the kids of the, the people who we played to 10 years ago, and they're all singing our lyrics.
Yeah.
It's crazy cool to watch that, you know what I mean? And it's really good too because half the time I'm sort of lip reading just to remember the words. Like I'm watching these kids down the front singing the words, and I'm like, that's how it goes. They're the words. Yeah, so it's always funny. But when we get back together to do these shows, I have to spend a good couple of months just learning all the songs again because I play so many songs and I write so many songs. It's like, oh gosh, how do those songs go again? So.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we've got a great band of guys, and we've got Dane Baldwin on drums and Jason Willoughby on guitar and Jared Gibson on bass. Me and Drew up the front, and we're all like 6 footers, we look like a football team walking in. So it's, but it's going to be so much fun at Blazes on the 22nd of January, and I hope you can come along, Sophie.
Well, I'm actually not sure if I'm going to make it to Tamworth, but I'll be there in
Oh,
spirit. But I was just thinking about you saying that kids down the front singing your songs back to you. I think it's a testament to a really well-written song when it can appeal to all ages, basically, when everyone can find themselves in the song and relate to it and be entertained by it. That's really the apex of songwriting.
yeah, I couldn't agree more, and that's what's cool on this. And it's tricky when you're writing a song, and you're trying to think that you're thinking about the age demographic right through, and as in McAlister Kemp, we always were mindful of writing songs that kids can latch onto. Songs like Fight Me, which is schoolyard bullying, kids are going to latch onto that, you know what I mean? There was the party drinking songs, Party Down by the River songs, the heartfelt love songs. We really tried to mix it up. And, the early days of touring with Adam Brand, he was the one that sort of said to us, boys, you need to write songs that people can connect with, and that's what had worked for Adam all those years, so, so we tried to get away from writing all those fluffy, I love you, do you love me type of, love songs, and started to really put our heads into it and started thinking about real lyrics and real scenarios and blue collar workers and people working hard for their families and all that stuff that's real life stuff. And the minute we started hitting with those songs, it just connected, you know what I mean? And suddenly the McAlister Kemp thing just started to roll, and when it all sort of, imploded at the end, around 2015, 2016, like it's just like we'd just been through this tunnel for like the last 5 years. It was, I didn't even realize how big we'd gotten because I was so caught up doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when it spatters out the end of the tunnel, and we landed on it just as solo guys again, and half the world was so upset that we'd broken up. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize. So I
I'm
felt
sure
a lot
you're
of
probably
guilt.
still getting messages about it, right? Like,
Oh yeah, and so I felt so much guilt. Like people were so upset. So it's always really great when we can say we're coming back to do a show because hopefully people are going to get excited and say yes, we can go and see MK again. So I'm really hoping that it works this year in Tamworth for us because it's always hard to sell tickets in Tamworth. There's so much great stuff to see, and sometimes it lines up with someone else's show. It's like, oh gosh, I hope they come and see us, but it's just you just got to turn up and hope for the best.
Yeah, but also McAlister Kemp is a unique proposition, and this is partly because the two of you are separately really good songwriters. So, Drew is a very accomplished songwriter in his own right, but also that you're great singers. And also, Troy, one of the things I've noted about you over time is how great you are in performance in recording actually with other artists. So some of my favorite songs are duets you've done with Jane Denham, with Emily Hatton, with Katrina Burgoyne. There's something about you as a singer where you really understand how to work off another singer. And so I might have even said something to you the last time I interviewed you about how I hope there's a Troy Kemp duets record somewhere in your future because you're so great at it. But I think that's also
Thank you.
part of the strength of McAlister Kemp is that you and Drew really understand how to sing with and around each other.
Yeah, it was crazy, and that was just a natural thing that happened with us. Like we first met when we were playing in the Aussies Walk the Line show, which was like a tribute to Johnny Cash and the Highwaymen. We started, writing songs on tour just because we had nothing else to do was drink and write songs. You know what I mean? So, and and it was Mike Carr actually. Mike Carr came into the room one day. We were writing a song. He said, "You guys sound amazing together." He said, "You should think about doing a duo." And we were both like, that's a stupid idea, Mike, go away, we're just, whatever. But, he kept it both of us for a couple of months until we caved in and decided to give the thing a go. But it was never hard. Like our voices just blended together. If he went up, I went up with him. And it just worked. The harmonies just sat, and if I went to lead vocal, he'd sit above me and then he'd just do the same thing. Like he would just, it was crazy how well it went. People would say, "Are you guys brothers?" Well, no, we're not brothers. We're just both tall dudes. You know what I mean? And he's such a talent. Like he said, he's an incredible songwriter. He's an incredible guy. He's a great family man, and and that voice, like, give me a break. The voice is ridiculous. So it was always amazing just to be on stage, just singing with the guy. You know what I mean? I just always thought that was such a privilege, and and it still is. So anytime I get a chance to get back on stage and sing with him, it's cool. But I have done a lot of duos over the years. I don't know why I do that. It's funny because I do love to sing with everyone. You know what I mean? And and I don't know how to say no. So I just like, oh, would you sing a song with me, Troy? Yeah, I'll do it. Let's go. So I don't know. I
Well,
don't
whack 'em all
know.
on an album together, Troy. Is one as well separate to McAlister Kemp. Obviously, that's its own proposition. But just saying, if there are enough songs out there floating around, put them together. It's
Yeah,
a
there
real
probably is. You know,
superpower.
you mentioned Jane, you mentioned Emily, you mentioned Katrina Berg, and then there was the Damien Bagley Tailgate Drive thing. So I've done a lot, you know what I mean? So if you ever want to write a song with me, Sophie, we should just do it.
I honestly know that I cannot do that, Troy. Like I write books. I'm very sure I can't write songs. So
Okay.
thank you for suggesting
It's
it.
all right. If you change your mind, I'm always here, okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
But I do look. I do think it's. I do think it's a skill that's worth acknowledging with you and Drew as well because it's about serving the song. You know, because you're a very powerful lead singer. Now you could actually be a lead singer who's like, I need to lead all the time. In order to sing well with someone else, you both have to understand that the song is the priority and
Yeah.
work the vocals that way.
Exactly, and that was always a trick with us. And when it came to recording the albums, we're like, okay, whose voice is going to suit this verse more, or whose voice is going to suit the chorus more, and stuff like that. Because we do swap. Like a lot of the songs are like, I'll sing the first verse, then we sing the chorus together, then he sings the second verse, or vice versa. He starts the song, I sing the second verse. We hit the choruses together. I'm singing a high harmony above him, and then towards him, the chorus, I might go low underneath him, or the other way around. I might start the chorus underneath him, and then at the end jump high above his voice with the harmony above him, just to sort of drive home the name of the song, you know, the hook of the song. So we had to learn how to do all that, but like I said, it always came easy. But like I said, Drew could sing the phone book and it would sound amazing. So, you know, just so I was just lucky he gave me a shot at having a few parts of my own, you know what I mean, along the way. So so whenever I get a chance to step up and do my bit, I'm always like, here we go. So this is fun, but I just give it my best, and you know, and I just love being on stage. I just love entertainment, you know. So as long as I'm having a good time, because me, it's, you know, first and foremost, you got to be having fun, you know. And as long as the crowd's having fun with me and everyone's rocking and raging and singing along, then it's a perfect night.
And I think this is why it is one of the absolute must-haves for the January 2026 Tamworth Country Music Festival because my favorite thing is meaningful entertainment, and I think that's what the two of you provide. It is high entertainment, and also those songs, as we've talked about, have a lot of meaning. So I'm sure anyone who gets along to that will have 3 amazing hours, and you're going to be over obviously ahead of that, so you can recalibrate time zones, get a bit of rehearsal in, and introduce the baby to people.
That's right, yeah, but you know, we're going to do all of that. All the things you just said, I'm going to be doing all that before, you know. The night's called, we've got a song called Night on Fire. So we're calling the show Night on Fire at Blazers Showroom. It's going to, I mean, Night on Fire, Blazers, all those
Places.
words go together. You
Yeah,
know,
ding ding. Yeah.
it's going to be good. It's just like ding ding, that's going to work. So, like I said, July 7 tickets are going to go on sale. And it's going to be great. Like, you know, it's an amazing sound in that room. I think the place holds, I mean, we've had 1,000 people in that room in the past, you know what I mean? So, even if we get half of that this time, I'll be excited. You know what I mean? So, and you know, if we get 10, we're still going to turn up and rock out. So let's just see what happens. You know, it's going to be great fun regardless. But it's a great career. It's, you know, I'm very grateful for everything that I've ever, you know, people that have supported us along the way, and it's so much fun. You know, I've lived and breathed music my whole life. I don't know how to do anything else. So I just hope I get to keep doing it for as long as I can and keep coming back to do McAlister Kemp shows and, you know, and more duets with whoever wants to sing with me, and you know, and hopefully one day have the hit song in Nashville, and you know, that's going to put me on the map over here, and yeah, it's going to be great.
Well, all that sounds fantastic, and also the mention of more McAlister Kemp show sounds great for your fans. So, Troy, I'm going to leave it there. It's been so good to talk to you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for a wonderful interview. I love and miss you, and can't wait to talk again next time.